Tonight on Joy News Prime, Energy Ministry wants state institutions indebted to GRIDCO and other power transmission companies to pay their debt or be disconnected from the national grid in 2020. The warning comes after GRIDCO disconnected power supply to Valco over $30 million debt.
And start talking to GRIDCO, ECG, NETCO from today so that they begin to bring up their issues and come up with ways of resolving those problems before it is too late, because you can be very sure that these bodies, NETCO, GRIDCO, ECG, will act in the coming year. They will act, and they will act with dispatch.
Ghana Library Authority records 100% increase in paid library membership in 2019. Authority says reading habit among Ghanaians has improved.
If you look at the graph, you will find that in 2016, paid library members was 7,246. You move forward to 2018, we recorded 12,665. However, in the year of reading, we recorded 26,334.
Also joining us is Seth Kwam inducted into the Ghana Leadership Hall of Fame after winning 4 awards at a recent ceremony.
Teamwork, I work with cameramen, drivers, editors. So
ongoing, we are sure to get more vehicles coming in.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joy News Prime comes still live from our Joy News studios at Kukumlimli here in Accra with digital address GA099259 on Go TV channel 144 and DSTV channel 421. Please stay tuned in. Many thanks for choosing us. The Ghana Grid Company Limited has disconnected power supply to the Volta Aluminium Company Limited, Valco, following failure of the company to settle over $30 million outstanding debt to the power transmitter. In a press statement Monday, GRIDCO explained that the decision was made by the management of GRIDCO after several attempts to get Valco to honor its payment obligations failed. The disconnection, according to the statement, is part of ongoing debt collection measures to mobilize the needed funds to support its operations. GRIDCO's operations have been significantly impaired due to huge unpaid debts owed by its bulk customers, currently amounting to over 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. Now, the Energy Ministry has warned other state institutions that are indebted to GRIDCO and other power transmission companies like ECG and NETCO to pay their debt or expect disconnections to the national grid in 2020. In an interview with Joy News following the disconnection of Valco by GRIDCO, Communication Officer at the Energy Ministry, Nana Damoa, says the disconnection was a wake-up call to Valco and other indebted institutions.
In as much as GRIDCO has their challenges and they are rightfully due the amount of money that they are demanding from Valco, Valco also has its own peculiar set of challenges that the ministry is aware of. And so we have done a slight intervention to ensure that the ongoing discussions, which have been started for a while, are not brought to any acrimonious end unnecessarily. So we are hoping that we will be able to speed up the discussions between them and get to a permanent resolution of these matters as soon as possible.
Did Valco make any attempt to at least pay part of their indebtedness to GRIDCO?
I wouldn't want to disclose that as at yet, but what I would say is that as at now, GRIDCO has agreed to restore power to Valco, and the talks which have been ongoing will continue.
How soon are they restoring the power back to Valco?
As we speak, it's already been restored.
So this could have been avoided?
GRIDCO also needed to send the necessary signals that they wanted to send through the system, that they were serious. Not that Valco didn't also take them serious, but with this situation, this is a family issue. Valco is a special case because both of them are agencies under the Ministry of Energy. So we are also very much aware of the peculiar challenges that Valco is facing which is why, and already before this disconnection, there were discussions underway on how to solve the problem, and we've brought both parties to the table before, and discussions were ongoing. However, other state institutions, other state agencies, individuals, private companies, if there are any issues, we would implore them to go and start talking to Gridco, ECG, NETCO from today, so that they begin to bring up their issues and come up with ways of resolving those problems before it is too late. Because you can be very sure that these bodies, NETCO, Gridco, ECG, will act in the coming year. They will act, and they will act with dispatch.
Meanwhile, power has been restored at VALCO following the Energy Ministry's intervention. The ministry says discussions are underway between the parties to address the impasse. Residents of Bukono Junction and its surrounding communities in the Yulokrobo district of the Eastern region today demonstrated against what they say is reckless driving by trucks transporting limestone from Asesewa to Tema. The action by the residents follows the death of two residents, Tete Michael, 15, and Paul Akwete, 20, crushed by trucks of the limestone company. Two others, Akole Amos and Peter Akwete, suffered life-threatening injuries and are currently receiving treatment at the hospital. Drivers of the trucks attributed brake failure to the fatal accident. The angry residents say they will not allow the limestone mining company to transport the raw materials through the community henceforth. Assembly member for the area, Ebenezer Tenate, tells journalists that they will not allow any of the trucks transporting limestone to pass through the community until they enter a memorandum of understanding.
Two sons or two brothers have been killed instantly by these two big trucks you see lying there. You see, it's like we are not part of Ghana. Everybody is doing what he wants at the expense of our lives. People come here, they don't even know this place, but they come here to take our limestone, irrespective of how they manage to send it to Tema. They go and sell it. They never do anything for us. They don't take care of us. They don't bother even our street, not even a street light. They don't do anything for the community. But all they want is our money. They go to Asawa, they climb the hill, go and load these big trucks. This is a semi-trailer. And load these trucks, nobody know the weight or the cubic load. They do whatever they want. The police are there. They don't do anything. We complain and we complain to the police. They don't do anything. All that we see is that they pass their checkpoints and they are killing our children. In fact, within 1 week, there are two serious accidents on this road. The last one was just yesterday. And we, the community, we reported the matter to the police. They didn't arrest the cars. We changed the cars to Hunya. And by the intervention of the Hunya people, we were able to arrest the vehicle. We parade the vehicle to Federal police. Even as we speak now, the police are threatening that they will release the car to go. And we said that, fine, if they are not ready to protect us, we protect ourselves. We cannot allow the big trucks to operate this road. That is all what we are after. If they want to take the stone or the limestone, that one is a mineral resource. We are not fighting with them. But they should find alternative route of what? Taking the stone to Tema. We have other alternative route. I think they have to do some small work on the alternative route, and they are trying to avoid that expenditure. So they want to use this narrow road with that steep, mountain, and they cannot use this road and be killing us. So we are telling the government, we are telling the company that from today.
Joy News is learning that a 6-member armed police team from Asesewa to force residents off the road initially failed, and it took the residents began to fight the police. We are told the police service had to beg leaders before they cooperated with the police. Our reporter Kofi Sian is on the line. Good evening to you, Kofi Sian. What more can you tell us from where you are?
Well, Aisha, let me say that the protest began this morning, and the residents, just as they said in that interview, that they are against the company that transports the limestone from Asesewa to Tema. And their point is that in recent times, they've killed about 2 people on that road. They say that these drivers have been driving carelessly, recklessly, and that is affecting the lives of the people in that community. So this morning, they were able to block the road and stopped the trucks that were transporting the limestone from Asesewa to Tema. So when the police were called in, they, in the first place, decided to disperse the crowd, but the crowd also charged on them, and the police had to calm down and negotiate with the people. So as I speak with you now, the residents are calling for a memorandum of understanding between the company that transports the limestone from Asesewa to Tema. They want the company to, commit themselves to the fact that they wouldn't drive carelessly again and again. They are also going to ensure that nobody is dead on that road anymore.
Now, has calm been restored since?
Well, they agreed with the police and calm has been restored, but they insist that the trucks that they stopped this morning will not be allowed to move until the negotiations are completed.
So what have you gathered from the police? Any statement from the police yet?
The police has not responded as I speak with you now, so they are yet to respond.
Well, many thanks to you. Kofi Sian is our correspondent in the Eastern region. We'll be following up and bring you more on this in our subsequent bulletins. Now, it appears the Ghanaian reading culture is changing. The Ghana Library Authority says it recorded a 100% increase in paid library membership from 12,665 in 2018 to 26,334 in 2019. There has also been a 48.10% increase in library visits. Speaking at a press briefing, Acting Executive Director Hayford Sian says patronage has been encouraging.
For the first time, we've recorded a 263.43 increase in library membership. So if you look at the graph, you will find that in 2016, paid library members was 7,246. You move forward to 2018, we recorded 12,665. However, in the year of reading, we recorded 26,334. This is over 100% increase in library membership across the country.
Touting the authority's achievement in 2019, Acting Executive Director Hayford Sian says 10 mobile library vans were successfully relaunched. 25 libraries across the 16 regions were renovated, and patronage of the mobile library app leapt within months of launching the app.
For close to 2 decades, for the first time, we've hit over 1 million visits to our libraries across the country. In 2016, you have only 393,430 visits to our libraries across the country. In the year of reading, we recorded 1,074,275.
Unveiling plans for the year 2020, the authority says it will be amending sections of the Library Board Act so as to obtain legal backing to control the activities of both private and public libraries in the country.
If you go around the country, you will notice that some district assemblies built libraries, they didn't consult us. Some NGOs have built libraries, they didn't consult us. Other philanthropists built libraries, they didn't consult us. And all of these are collapsed. And often at times we have people writing to us to take over those libraries. We are undertaking a nationwide holistic assessment of all of these libraries and be able to make appropriate recommendations for the board to take actions on them. What it is that our acts does not give us regulatory powers, right? And so the Act is undergoing review, and the bill is currently before Parliament. We hope that when it is passed, then we can begin to come up with regulatory framework that can guide institutions and individuals that are willing and ready to support or establish libraries in their various communities.
The authority also plans to roll out a mobile app for senior high schools, automate the checking in and out of library books, and digitize the procurement of international standard book numbers for publishers.
We have set 5 main objectives for the year of learning. The first one is to increase use of technology in service delivery. We are also setting up our libraries on an integrated library management system. What does this do? This will help our libraries to communicate with each other so that our processes of checking out and checking in of books is automated.
The Ghana Library Authority has declared the year 2020 a year of learning under the theme 70 Years of Transforming Minds Through Libraries. Faustina Safo for Joy News.
Senior partner at the Africa Legal Associates, Gabi Asarioch-Ridako, says it is important to raise the necessary capital or finances locally for the banks to develop the economy. Speaking at the last edition of Newsfile at the East Wing Auditorium of the University of Professional Studies, Accra, on Saturday, he said the number of banks in the country do not matter, but rather the strength of those banks is what matters in supporting the economy.
So, first of all, in terms of the moves being put in place by the central bank themselves, and we've seen it happen before. It happened in Nigeria. It's happening in Kenya, you know, and even in the West it's happened. But I think first of all, it is sad that it had to happen to Ghanaian-owned banks, because essentially, if we're looking to develop, and we need to be able to have the finances, to be able to raise the finances locally to develop. A lot of the movements in the city downwards over the last few months has been caused by what? People moving away their cash because, of course, big contractors were paid. And a lot of these big contractors are Chinese and the rest of it. They need to go back, take the money back before the end of the year. So it's important that we are able to raise the necessary capital locally, the funds locally, to do so. And to do so, you need banks that are also Ghanaian, so they can also keep their money here. But it's not necessarily numbers. It's about the strength of the banks that you have. Some countries may have just 10 banks, but the capital base of those banks are strong enough to support the economy. You know, but it is painful because these are banks by our own people, and for whatever reason, I think it was a good initiative on their part to invest in having banks and to end up this way. It's bad. But I think we should also admit that the signs were there for a while. I mean, by 2016, 5 billion cedis of taxpayers' money had gone into these banks to support them, yet they couldn't recover. 5 billion Ghana cedis. Indeed, by the latest count, it's about 16.58 billion cedis that has gone in. But the fact that the receiver has been able to recover 1 billion thus far, let's even assume that that figure doesn't go up. It doesn't necessarily mean that taxpayers have lost out. And I'll tell you why. Look at what happened especially in France and in the UK, and to a point in America. The government stepped in, okay, to support the banks. Later on, they sold the shares. You know, so, for instance, the fact that CBG is now owned by the state, and CBG, by all accounts, is doing well, in 2, 3, 4 years' time, government can easily offload its shares.
Government gave that indication even at the start.
I'm just saying. So it is not just in the recoveries. Of course, that's an important part to look at. And that could take long because a lot of these things could be in fiscal assets that perhaps they have to be liquidated and the rest of it.
We're still live on Joy News Prime. There is more after this break. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And Joy News' Seth Kwame Boateng has been inducted into the Ghana Leadership Hall of Fame after winning 4 categories of the Ghana Leadership Awards. The awards seek to celebrate and recognize most outstanding and exemplary leadership that positively impacts the development of Ghana and Africa. The group presented all 4 awards to him during a meeting with officials of the Multimedia Group Limited at the offices of Joy FM.
The award ceremony celebrated the highest levels of leaders in business, government, academia, media, among others. The Multimedia Group was adjudged the Media Group of the Year. Seth Kwame Boateng won the Best Journalist for the Outstanding Community Service of the Year, Best Journalist of the Year, and the Best Leadership Initiative of the Year. Leader of the group, Reverend Professor Yumano Nash, at the meeting said Seth Kwame Boateng has proven himself as one of the best journalists in the country.
Juries, they are supposed to be here. They are saying you should be inducted into the Ghana Leadership Hall of Fame for the leadership roles you've taken in this country. And to add and to finish, we are non-partisan, non-political. On the 28th, we had all the political faces there. We are non-partisan. So we stand for the leadership recognition of this country and to be inducted today to the Ghana Leadership Hall of Fame. This leadership award has never taken place ever before. We are the first, and you are one of the leaders that needed to be inducted. You are the first journalist to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. If you look at what Joy News is doing to say credible news, everybody rely on Joy News. So we have that two category. And then we have one Best Leadership Initiative of the Year. Yes, Best Leadership Initiative of the Year. For that prison documentary, and then the CAF project. Because you could see Joy News is always in the lead, solving problems, serious problems facing this country.
Seth Kwame Boateng thanked the group and promised to do more.
I did the work with support from all the team members. My bosses here would have to approve the budget for me to go. My boss here would have to give me direction, because I'll go to him and he will tell me, okay, you can do A, B, C, D. So it's a teamwork. I work with cameramen, drivers, editors. So yeah, I'm here receiving on their behalf. And I can assure you that this is just the beginning. We have just started this. We have many more things coming, and Joy News will continue to lead the country and trigger the changes that we need in this country.
The theme for the ceremony was the leadership future of the Ghanaian and the African youth.
Management of the Cape Coast and Elmina Castle say they wish every year would be a year of return. The Cape Coast Castle, for instance, says it could record up to 100,000 visitors this year, a figure that has not been recorded before in the history of the facility. They say they are sometimes overwhelmed with the numbers that come to the facility. But members of the diaspora community who have been visiting are asking government to put in place measures that could sustain the gains made so far. Richard Kwejunyako has more in the following report.
The Cape Coast and Elmina castles have been two twin facilities that have been huge beneficiaries in terms of the year of return.
The last one said that the woman that Maclean was going out with, he said the woman was a beautiful.
Every minute, the facility welcomes a guest. Most of them have been African Americans, and they love the year of return.
It was really a beautiful sight to see so many African Americans returning, claiming what is rightfully theirs. Really been heart-wrenching. To be here to experience what our ancestors went through, it really makes you understand more what our history was about. I've been to Senegal, to Gorée Island, so I kind of knew what to expect. However, this was on a much larger scale. Senegal, Gorée Island is much smaller. But to think that people could be so inhuman, you know, putting hundreds of people in a small room with no air, no food, nowhere to relieve themselves. Monsters, just inhumane. So.
It's been unprecedented numbers recorded this year by the Cape Coast Castle. That's according to Atu Eshen, manager of the Cape Coast Castle. He reveals the facility could record up to 100,000 this year, a figure they have not realized before.
Extremely phenomenal. I mean, you think of numbers coming in. There has never been a year like this year in terms of African diaspora coming to visit. I mean, talk of the whole speaker of U.S. Congress coming down with all the African what do you call it? African congressmen, African American congressmen coming down. Talk of Steve Harvey coming in, Boris Kodjoe himself coming in. It's been amazing. Oh, absolutely. I'm thinking that we can do double what we've been able to do this.
It's a region many have linked with Christmas festivities. Key among them is the Masquerade Festival. I'm talking about the Western region and specifically Takoradi. Well, what started several decades ago as the Fancy Dress Festival, which sees hundreds of locals sporting colorful costumes and masks parading the streets during Christmas, has evolved into one big celebration, attracting people from far and near. My colleagues Komladum and Mapito Sebi, the first-time visitors in Takoradi in the first of our series Christmas in Tadi report, the numbers were unprecedented.
28 in the new year, what are the abate? 28 in the new year, the one day, baby, I don't want to. 28 in the new year, what are the?
We are in Takoradi, Christmas in Tadi, first time in Tadi. Very excited. I am excited. I can't wait for the festivities.
It's a busy city when you arrive on Christmas Eve. There's a mad rush among the young, old, and everyone in between for their fancy masqueraders' costumes.
We're told it can degenerate into fisticuffs sometimes when people are unable to get their costumes in time.
The Market Circle streets are the center of all the action on the 25th, the 26th, and the days after. Along the streets is the headquarters of one of more than 40 fancy groups, Valencia. Last-minute stitches and fittings are being done. This little kid, just 10 years, makes these masks that are being sold here.
This is your biggest one, eh? Yeah. Oh.
At GSTS campus, we are told the Supreme Masquerade Society, described as more than just a society, and its members are warming up to hit the streets. Now, this session here is spiritual. I could feel my skin break into several bumps.
Interesting to see the costuming, you know, the kind of energy these people have.
And we also know that the Supreme is the largest group, the Masquerade group. So, I mean, we're obviously expecting a lot of numbers, a lot of people. I've seen a lot of kids, people who can't even barely speak, but they're already wearing their masks and they costume.
Like ants on an anthill, they poured out, and before long, it was a crowd. Komla and I were not the only first-timers here. We had good company.
Just saw some pictures from my friends. I actually work with a company, so when I saw the pictures, I said, oh, wow, so I have to drive all the way from Kumasi to this place. It's my first time with my uniform, and I'm with Supreme One Share.
Everything is fine.
Comedian Clemente Suarez would not be left out of the fun.
I had Dells in it, baby. No, I can't even film. But need Dells. Yeah, we have come to enjoy ourselves. I mean, this is just the beginning, but you can see the frenzy and everything. Everything is on point.
Now, a fancy costume of literally all the bright colors, of course, specific on design and make, to each of the 40+ groups, a pair of snow white flat soles with white socks to match.
That's all you see here.
A little after midday, the procession begins, and this, my friends, is a carnival.
The crowd of masqueraders meal through the market circle streets, receiving chants and cheers from frantic onlookers, some of whom are stuck up on high buildings just to catch a glimpse.
And from the top of the buildings, all you observe is a sea of colors and the sounds of music blasted by the band.
Unfortunately, what you feel here cannot be described in words. It is an experience.
And mind you, all the masquerader groups,
Spain, Canada, Holy Cities, Justice, Cosmos, Millionaires, USA, Unity,
Oshewa Kumemu,
Oil City,
Oaks,
Benche,
Sanato,
parade their members in their unique costumes and bands. For each fancy group, the charge and the vibe is different.
And the numbers were huge, easily running into several thousands. Imagine the Supreme Group alone having more than 2,000 members. And for many first-timers here like myself and Maps, coupled with the year of return visits, this was by many accounts the biggest attendance of a carnival yet.
Western Regional Minister Kwabena Ochedako, who joined the parade, agrees.
Over the last 5 years, there's been a huge momentum of people organizing themselves to join, and then because of social media as well, people are also promoting their different societies. So I believe that this year is one of the biggest that we are seeing. It's been very good that we all participate, and we've invited a lot of people from all over the country to also participate. And for the first time, there's a replica of what we are doing here in Sheffield, UK. Yes, so we believe that we'll be growing them together over time.
How does he and other authorities in the space look to cash in on the hype around the Masqueraders Carnival to cement the Oil City's place as a Christmas destination?
In fact, we also organize what we call the Aviator, and we use that to showcase Western region to the rest of the country. And a lot of tour operators came from Kumasi, Accra, Tamale to participate. So we believe that it's all part of the action that today we are all witnessing.
The tourism offerings in this city, especially at this time, are endless. The people themselves admit.
It's Maps
and Komla,
and this is Christmas in Tadi.
And back to the year of the return. While the spoils of that year of return continue to overflow and increased arrivals on the shores of Ghana, the impact on local economic activities is especially amplified. For most returnees, their entire trip will be meaningless without taking back a piece of the motherland. From the Accra Arts Center, where local artifacts are on display, Manuel Cranton reports.
The Accra Arts Center, home to some of Ghana's most exclusive artistic crafts, is enjoying increased patronage on the back of the year of return.
Okay.
With daily sales almost tripling this Christmas season, the vendors with their wares on display say the arrival of the returnees greatly boosted their businesses, which they hope can be sustained.
Everything is nice, we're making business because of, the Americans, they make the business, but the other people, instead of the Nigerians and stuff, They don't make the business nice, but the Americans, they make it nice. See, it's a season something, yeah. So today like this, I can make like 2,000, 5,000 and stuff if the market is good. But when the market is not good, it's like 1,000, 1,500 and stuff.
Sales has been okay since Saturday. And yesterday it was very good because they kept coming. And today too, we are hoping for the better.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Kente section of the Arts and Crafts Dealers Association at the centre, Charles Kofi Appiah, says the planning of the Year of Return campaign excluded the local craftsmen. He believes the success of the Year of Return and its impact on their business would have been amplified with better consultation and collaboration with the sector ministry and the Year of Return Secretariat.
In our sector, there is no advertisement for the Center for. You do hear that the center minister make an advert for Center for National Culture. No, always only those people who are playing music. Always, since I was say about 30 years, even they couldn't even step here to come and sit down with us to ask our problem to help us. Always we hear that there is this money for creating us. Without, we didn't even hear when we just go there to ask them. They just give to the musicians. We, the people who are doing great things here, doing our own handicrafts to sell and get money for the nation, they didn't add us.
Like Thomas Merton says, art enables us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time. So if you're here for the Year of Return, don't forget to pick a piece of the motherland away with you. For Joy News, my name is Manuel Kranting.
And that's how we end the bulletin tonight. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. On behalf of the rest of the team, have a great one.